This documentary contains real depictions of urban poverty for educational and awareness purposes. Viewer discretion is advised. Now imagine this. You're walking down a once glorious boulevard, and instead of a red carpet, you're walking past ruined tents and shattered hopes. Sirens blare in the distance. You catch a glimpse of discarded belongings. Nearby, a young figure lies on cardboard. Not as a symbol, but as a silent reality of what's unfolding just steps from wealth. Where has the American dream gone? What happens when the City of Angels can no longer save anyone?
Los Angeles is a very, very crazy place.
There's no dreams here. Only nightmares.
Have we considered how fragile our own stability might be in a system that's failing many? This isn't just another headline. This is a reality few dare to face. Join Roamkind as we take you deep into forgotten alleys, hidden shelters, and stories no one dares to tell. This isn't the LA you've seen in the movies. This is the truth hidden behind the veneer, and it's time to see it for yourself. Number 1. The collision between dreams and reality. They told you, make it to Los Angeles, and you've made it. But once your feet hit the pavement, you start to wonder, where is the city you saw on screen?
So I ran downtown thinking that it was going to be something different.
What greets you instead is a version of LA few talk about. A tangle of palm trees, paparazzi, and people sleeping inches away from luxury. You walk past that glittering hotel on Sunset Boulevard. But instead of red carpets, there's a line of tents breathing in the morning haze. You see someone walking their designer dog pass right by another person resting on the curb with all they own in a cart. The contrast? It's not shocking anymore. It's part of the rhythm now. Two parallel lives, two stories sharing the same sidewalk. Maybe you've been that person. Rooftop drink in hand, city lights blinking below, only to spot someone bundled in layers near a bus stop. It's not guilt you feel, it's confusion. How can two truths be real at once? You start noticing what others stopped seeing. LA's unhoused population has grown to over 75,000 individuals, and it's still rising. That's enough to fill Dodger Stadium twice. And it's not just the numbers, it's the silence surrounding them that's louder than traffic. Finding a place to live, that's its own mountain. Renting a modest one-bedroom can cost you around $2,500 a month. If you're making $16 an hour, which is California's current minimum wage, you'd have to work full-time and still need a roommate just to make ends meet. But still, the illusion lingers. The light here does something magical. The breeze hums like a soundtrack. And maybe that's the trick. LA doesn't sell comfort. It sells a version of you where everything feels possible. So here's a question. Are you still chasing that dream? Or are you starting to see the sequel no one told you about? Number 2, urban structures reveal crisis. The cracks aren't loud, but once you see them, you can't unsee them. You might have come here chasing warmth, chasing energy, maybe chasing a version of yourself who finally made it. But no one told you how heavy the quiet parts of this city can feel. Not the traffic, not the glitter, the spaces in between, where something used to be. Take Venice Beach. You imagined rollerblades and guitar players under the sun. But now you walk through and see corners overtaken by tents, bins spilling over, sidewalks where someone's mattress is laid out like a message. Public space starts to feel like no one's home. You start noticing things others have tuned out. A child's toy tucked beside a tarp. A handwritten sign asking not for money, but for dignity. And in those moments, it hits you. This isn't about poverty or failure, it's about forgetting. The infrastructure isn't breaking overnight. It's been unraveling slowly. Restrooms sealed shut, streetlights flickering out, a sense of unease creeping into the places you once thought were safe. You don't just see the homelessness crisis, you walk beside it. Sometimes you step over it, and it's not a statistic, it's someone's Tuesday. You ask yourself, where did this begin? But maybe a better question is, what did we stop seeing? People talk about rising crime, about locking up storefronts, about leaving early. But beneath those actions is a quiet sadness. The feeling that your city no longer holds you the same way it used to. And so you keep walking, unsure of where the borders of public and private have gone. You wonder not just what's broken, but if we've forgotten how to care for what was shared. Comment: sidewalk truth. This city has layers. You've just peeled one back. Want to go deeper? Stay with Roamkind. Number 3, the cycle of homelessness and poverty. It doesn't happen to you overnight. You don't just wake up one morning and lose everything. It begins in small, almost forgettable ways. Your rent inches up, your work hours shrink, a medical bill hits your inbox. You tell yourself you'll manage, and then you don't. You've seen it, haven't you? A neighbor disappears. A co-worker casually admits they've been crashing on a friend's couch. Someone who always smiled at you from behind the corner store counter vanishes. That's how it starts. Quiet, slow, until it's not. If you're living in Los Angeles, you're already in it. The city now holds more than 75,000 people without stable housing. And every 24 hours, around 227 more join that number. This isn't a crisis you read about. It's a wave you might already be standing in. And it's not just about losing a roof. It's about losing your grip. Once you fall, the climb back isn't uphill. It's vertical. Try applying for a job without a permanent address. Try focusing on mental health while sleeping in your car. Try staying clean when the only relief is a quick escape from anxiety. You've walked past this cycle before. What you thought was stillness, tense, worn shoes, restless silence is a spiral spinning too fast to be seen clearly. And the truth is, the system isn't just broken. It's tilted. It's easier to slide down than to climb up. You know that. Now think about the math. A basic apartment might cost you around $2,500 per month. The minimum wage you're earning? $16 an hour. That means you'd need to work almost 160 hours a month just for the roof. What about food, transit, insurance? Ask yourself, how far are you from the edge? 1 missed paycheck? 2? Behind every unhoused person you pass, there's a different story. But they're all stitched together by the same threads. Costs you can't keep up with, systems you can't access, and a city that moves faster than you can heal. So you stop, you take it in. And maybe, for the first time, you realize this story isn't about them. It's about you too. Number 4, Skid Row, a symbol of systemic neglect. You walk into Skid Row, and it's like stepping into a city within a city. Only this one was built from scraps, not steel or ambition. You don't need a map. The atmosphere shifts. Sounds become sharper, and silence hits harder. Right in the heart of Los Angeles, This area is home to more than 4,400 people, yet it barely resembles a livable zone. It's not just the lack of buildings or roads, it's the absence of a functioning system. Health services, sparse, safety, mostly absent after sunset. You might expect public toilets to be basic infrastructure. Here, only 10 toilets serve thousands. That's not a statistic. That's a daily struggle. Every morning, I wait an hour just to use a toilet, says Marcus L., a longtime Skid Row resident. We're not animals. We just want to be treated like humans again. Imagine sharing a restroom with hundreds, or having no option at all. It's not about comfort. It's about dignity. Then comes the invisible threat. You can't see all of it, but you can feel it. The risk of infectious diseases lingers in the air. Trash piles up faster than it's cleared. Hygiene becomes a privilege. And when night falls, it gets quieter. Not because people are sleeping, but because even emergency workers avoid this zone. And yet this isn't just about hardship. Skid Row has become a symbol. Not of failure, but of something deeper. What happens when a city forgets part of itself? It's not just another slum. It's a broken reflection of what Los Angeles promised to be, a hub of opportunity, glamour, and progress. Someone once said, "Skid Row is where hope checks out, but people check in." And that line sticks with you, because it forces you to ask, if this place exists in the middle of one of the world's wealthiest cities, what does that say about all of us? Number 5. Psychological burden and community fracture. They say silence can echo louder than screams. In Los Angeles, that silence often surrounds you. You walk past someone sitting quietly on the curb, and deep down, you sense it's not just exhaustion, it's emotional weight, layers of unresolved pain. Without stable housing, many people live with psychological wounds that never healed. They carry untreated trauma, experience constant anxiety, and endure overwhelming emotional distress. These aren't abstract medical conditions. They're visible, lived realities on the streets, and you feel it where you live too, in the quiet tension at your neighborhood store. A glance exchanged in a packed bus. Social divisions stretch farther each day, even between neighbors. People feel invisible, as if they're slipping through cracks no one wants to admit exist. And that begs the question, have we stopped really seeing each other? What happens when a system starts breaking down? The facts are clear. Hospitals are overstretched, community services are at capacity, and emergency help takes longer to arrive, if it comes at all. Dr. Andrea Molina, psychiatrist at LA County General Hospital, observes, "We're not just treating trauma, we're treating systemic abandonment. Every patient without a home carries invisible wounds. You wait, you hope, you sometimes lose, not because you're forgotten, but because the safety net isn't strong enough anymore." This is not just anecdotal. As Emily E. Lazawi, program manager at Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, explains, housing insecurity intensifies disparities in health outcomes, and those disparities, in turn, increase the likelihood that someone experiences housing instability. Her research reveals that people without consistent housing are 3 to 4 times more likely to face premature mortality, with life expectancy often dropping below 50 years of age. These aren't just statistics. They're alarm bells ringing across every corner of this city. And even if you're doing okay, you're not untouched, because every invisible crack in the city eventually runs under your own front door. These fractures, subtle, slow, are still real. So ask yourself, is this the society we've chosen? One where suffering remains out of sight until it quietly walks into your own life? Number 6. Financial crisis and urban economic stratification. Ever had a moment when checking your expenses felt like a mini heart attack? In Los Angeles, that's no longer a rare experience. It's daily life for many. You moved here chasing sunlight, opportunity, maybe even a dream. But rent isn't dreamy. It's daunting. The average price of a home in Los Angeles is nearing $1 million. If you're renting, a 2-bedroom apartment could easily cost around $2,570 per month. And that's just the roof. Add groceries, gas, internet, healthcare, and your monthly total could top $4,000 per person. Take this true story. Liam Dillon, a local reporter, once thought he understood housing struggles until his own rent doubled in the Palms neighborhood to $2,270 a month. "It forced me to rework my entire budget," he admitted. "I cover this crisis, but I never expected to be in it." If you earn the minimum wage of $16 an hour, you'd have to work full-time just to keep a roof over your head. That doesn't even cover food, transit, or emergencies. Even those making between $55,000 and $165,000 a year, once considered comfortably middle class, feel the financial pinch. Rising costs and high tax burdens leave little breathing room. Here's the deeper truth. The stress is spreading. It's not just affecting one group. It's felt across neighborhoods, job titles, and generations. Even those who seem fine, maybe one accident or medical bill away from crisis. You look around and wonder, when did stability become a luxury? What kind of city are we building when working full-time no longer guarantees a place to live? Number 7. Invisible victims left behind. You walk through Los Angeles and sense something's off. Not just the visible homelessness, but the quiet absence of those who should be protected. Young people, families navigating immigration, and working-class individuals like yourself. Each evening, more than 4,000 youth, without guardians, wander the city without shelter. Many left difficult home environments or had to drop out of school. Without a permanent address, they lose access to formal education, essential healthcare, and emotional support. This isn't just a tough situation. It's a path that can lead to vulnerability, exploitation, and systemic exclusion. Then, there's the city's often unseen foundation. Workers without stable legal residency, many of whom live with ongoing uncertainty. Making up nearly 1/3 of Los Angeles's population, these individuals contribute every day, yet they remain outside many formal protections. A woman once shared, "I clean houses in Beverly Hills, but I sleep in my car near South Central. And if you feel secure in the middle class, pause." Earning between $55,000 and $165,000 a year once meant stability. Now, it might not cover a home or rising living costs. You may be earning too much to qualify for public support, but not enough to feel secure. It's a tough spot, paying your dues but still falling short. Mayor Karen Bass described it powerfully. Poverty is not just hunger or housing loss. It's when families begin to break under the weight of daily pressure. That pressure is real. It's happening now, and it may be happening to people just like you. So take a moment. How far are any of us from being unseen in the very city we call home? This isn't someone else's reality. It could be yours. Number 8. Potential solutions or illusions. Remember that wave of optimism around smart shelters and digital innovation to solve homelessness? It felt promising. Some tools still hold potential. AI-based systems now assist outreach teams in locating those in urgent need. Mobile apps offer access to emergency housing, mental health services, and employment support, all from a phone. Sounds efficient, right? But the big picture tells a more complex story. Despite billions of dollars in public investments, much of it generated through high taxes, the homeless population in cities like Los Angeles continues to grow. In Washington state, tiny house villages helped around 250 individuals. Still, new encampments emerge nearby. It's a sobering gap, ambition versus reality. Take Eugene, Oregon, a city that tested a sandbox-style housing community powered by solar energy and shared spaces. On paper, it worked. Then the backlash came. Residents voiced concerns over safety and falling home values. The pilot was shut down, and many returned to informal shelters beneath overpasses. As one former resident put it, "We were offered dignity for a minute, then pushed back to nowhere." This isn't a tech problem. It's a trust problem. Apps don't build community. Shelters don't erase fear. Funding helps, but without public empathy and policy follow-through, it's a cycle on repeat. Are we moving toward lasting change, or just circling promises? Real transformation might begin not in code or construction, but in compassion. We heard about solar homes and smart apps, but did they last? Sometimes, the gap between intention and impact is heartbreakingly wide. Comment, "Back to nowhere," if that line hit you too. Don't stop now. What's next might just change how you see this city. Number 9. Policy with patchwork pieces. If fixing homelessness were a puzzle, we've been trying to jam the wrong pieces in for years. Each program, bold in design, hopeful in intent, feels like a patch on a leaky roof. And still, the storm gets in. So you wonder, are we building solutions or just buying time? Los Angeles invested nearly $1.3 billion last year alone to confront the poverty and homelessness crisis. Across California, statewide initiatives like Housing First, Inside Safe, and Tiny House Villages promised coordinated change, but the results remain uneven. Housing First offers shelter before treatment, but not everyone stays. In contrast, countries like Finland have fully embraced Housing First at a national level, combining permanent housing with robust social services. The result? Finland is the only country in Europe where homelessness is steadily declining. Meanwhile, programs like Inside Safe moved over 2,000 residents into temporary accommodations, yet only 23% transitioned into permanent housing. These are important steps, but they often function as temporary fixes. What we need is system-wide reform. Policies that ensure affordability, long-term support, and integrated care. Programs like Inside Safe show promise, notes Dr. Margot Kuschel, director of the UCSF Homelessness Initiative. But they must be backed by sustained funding, wraparound care, and long-term political will. Meanwhile, tiny houses cost up to $73,000 each, and even then, many remain unused due to zoning delays or neighborhood resistance. A real story brings this into focus. In Oregon, the city of Eugene launched a solar-powered micro-shelter village offering kitchens and outreach services. At first, it worked, but within months, nearby residents voiced concern. Some feared increased foot traffic, others cited safety. The site closed. Some people returned to freeway underpasses. The effort wasn't in vain, but it didn't last. Even where programs succeed, they're fragile. Syed Shah, once living unsheltered in Hollywood, now gives tours across the city. His story made possible by Inside Safe. I feel better, I look better. My teeth are finally clean, he said. But how many more like him remain in limbo? It's not that ideas are lacking, it's that strategies stay disconnected between city, county, and state levels. And in neighborhood meetings, the phrase "not in my backyard" still echoes. Voters backed Measure A to extend funding. But trust needs more than taxes. It needs visible transformation. Because when shelters feel unsafe and progress lacks permanence, the public asks, where is the change we were promised? So maybe the real fix isn't more money. Maybe it's rethinking the system, together. Because in a storm this wide, no patch will hold if the foundation is still broken. Number 10. Message and warning for the future. It's a tipping point. Los Angeles struggles under pressure. Without a complete overhaul, this city risks losing its place as a cultural, economic, and social hub for America. What if the collapse isn't from an earthquake, but from years of accumulated injustice and strategic neglect? This isn't just about empty homes or broken minds. It's the ultimate test of public leadership. When the poverty and homelessness crisis becomes systemic, survival isn't enough. We need systems that rehabilitate, uplift, and sustain. So, how do we shift perception? Stop treating unhoused individuals as problems to sweep away. They're signals of failure, of a society unprepared to handle its own fragility. According to the United States Interagency Council on Homelessness, cities that fully fund Housing First programs with integrated mental health care have seen up to 50% reductions in chronic homelessness in less than 5 years. But numbers alone won't fix broken trust. Long-term solutions require a cultural reset, stable housing, mental health support, and reintegration into the community. We're not just building shelter, we're rebuilding identity. To all Angelenos, to every voter, leader, and neighbor, the story is unfolding on your streets. Will you face it or turn away? As Dr. Margot Kuschel, director of the UCSF Benioff Homelessness and Housing Initiative, put it in March 2025, homelessness can be solved, but only if we treat it as the urgent public health crisis it is. How does all this make you feel? When you picture Los Angeles today, the growing encampments, soaring living costs, and fraying support systems, what do you really see? A city in decline, or still worth saving? A powerful documentary that explores the crisis behind Los Angeles's glamorous image. Through real stories, data, and expert voices, Roamkind takes you deep into the heart of America's urban housing and homelessness crisis. Viewer discretion is advised. This video is for educational and awareness purposes only. So tell me, what do you believe? Should we hold on to the dream of LA, or accept that some dreams don't come true? If this video resonates with you, please like, share, and subscribe to Roamkind. We're not just documenting places, we're telling the stories that shape them. See you next time.